No, thank you. Oh, thank you.
I didn't know they were waiting. I'm sorry. Tell me whenever we're ready. We're ready? Okay. Okay, we'll get this started. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us here this morning in Laurence Harbor. Let me get some housekeeping out of the way. First of all, I'd like to recognize Congressman Frank Pallone for being here. Thank you, Congressman. Very important. We also have Council President Mary Sohar over there. Thank you, Mary. Council Vice President Debbie Walker. Debbie, thank you for being here. I saw Ward 1 Councilman Kevin Garcia.
Hi, back here.
Right in the back. Thank Kevin. This is his ward. He's got a lot of skin in this game here. I also saw Councilman Kieran Desai in the room. Thank you, Kieran, for joining us. And Councilwoman Jill DeCaro is here. Thank you, Jill. Thanks for being here. And we have a lot of other important people in town here. I saw Glenn Dantino. I saw former Councilman Dave Merwin in the audience. Mr. Millet's here. Everyone who's involved in this area and wants to see really good things happening. Well, today we are very excited to say that, yes, something very good is going to be happening here, right where we're standing, as a matter of fact. And I think you can see we need new facilities in this area, especially from the outside. But it's important today that we recognize that our commitment to this area and the people of Old Bridge doesn't end after this press conference is over. It is nowhere near over. It doesn't end tomorrow. It doesn't even end after this building's up and we're in it. We need a lot of help in this area, Congressman. You know we have the Superfund site on this waterfront. And if you look out this door, we have the greatest view of the city of New York that exists on the Raritan Bay. But between the people of Old Bridge and that view is a fence that has a health concern, lead. We need to get that cleaned up. And we can't do that ourselves. That help has to come from the federal government. They have the resources. They have the means of convincing the EPA, National Lead, the identified responsible person. They have the means to get that cleaned up. And then and only then will we have a harbor, Laurence Harbor section of Old Bridge that will prosper, that will improve property values. That is all the things that we're starting to do today. This is a great start, a great beginning of even greater things to come. So with no further ado, I would like to introduce Congressman Frank Pallone to say a few words, and again, thank him for how he's participated in this project, how he's generously brought federal dollars to Old Bridge to partially pay for the building. So without any more, please, Congressman, please join us.
Thank you, Mayor.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me thank the mayor and the council, both current members, and I know Dave Merwin is here as well, who I've known for many years as a former councilman in Laurence Harbor. You know, the mayor talked about the Raritan Slag project, and I have to say that one of the reasons that I asked him about this building, and he suggested that we get federal funds for a new community center in Laurence Harbor, was because we would often meet with the, I call it the community action group, right? You know, when you do a Superfund cleanup, and I'm not here to primarily focus on that, but you did mention it. When we have a cleanup, you know, we always have funding that's available for a group called, I think, TAG funding, to make recommendations about the remedial plan. So that's how I got to know this building, because we would often come here, and of course they still meet, you said once a month, and I think we still, I don't know if Laura still comes, but we always have our representatives. And I looked at the building and I said, you know, it doesn't look too good. I mean, I hate to say.
We make a perfect example why we need a new building.
and so when we said to the mayor, you know, what kind of a project should we do in the Laurence Harbor area? He said, well, we need a new, you know, community center, multi-purpose center here. And it certainly makes sense. And I'm looking at the building and the rendition. I was so glad when you said that we would have the rendition today. And it really does look fantastic, and particularly by comparison to what's here. No offense, no offense to everybody, because I'm sure you have very fond memories of this building, all the different things that go on here. And when these projects that are we call community development projects that we put in the annual appropriations bill have very strict guidelines about what the money can be used for. And one of the things is that there's a real need for it. And that's clear, because obviously what the mayor explained and some of the council people explained is that there's so many things that go on here, and there's just a lot more demand than what you have with these existing buildings. So it fit perfectly into what we were trying to accomplish and put into the appropriations bill. Now, I just wanted to say a couple things. First of all, I have to mention, with regard to the Raritan slag site, because I figured you might ask me, I did want to mention that the EPA is now saying that the completion of the remedial design is anticipated by May, and they do plan to actually start the remediation, we hope, this year, sometime by the end of the year. Now, again, you've heard a lot of promises in the past, and you may say, is that really going to happen? I can't guarantee it, but we've been pushing them, really, to get this design done and to actually start the remediation. And so that's the latest update on that. Now, the one thing I want to say, though, is, and again, I hope I might say something you don't want to hear, but you know that Old Bridge is divided amongst the members of Congress, right? And I always wanted to represent Old Bridge because, obviously it's the bridge between Middlesex and Monmouth counties, the two counties that I represent partially. But when we went before the Redistricting Commission, we said, look, you have to give us at least the Laurence Harbor area, because not only is it the bridge, but it's also along the water, because my district is pretty much characterized as being along the water, either the Atlantic Ocean, the Raritan Bay, the Raritan River, the Shrewsbury River, whatever. And so I do like the fact that we're actually building a Laurence Harbor community center, right? Because I do think that Laurence Harbor has its own identity. Dave has talked about that for years, has its own identity and should have its own community center. And of course, it also happens to be in my district, so I can effectuate that. But really, it's to the testimony of all of you that the mayor, the council, I see Karen Desai, who's a longtime friend of mine, is to your credit that you envisioned this facility and that you came to me and that we were able to get it in the as a community development project in the budget. If it's without the hard work that all of you have done here and use this facility and express the demand for it, that it wouldn't actually happen. So I appreciate your thanking me, Mayor, but also want to thank everybody here, not only your elected officials, but the other people in the Laurence Harbor area for whom this is important. So thanks again, and we're moving forward.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you. Very, very good to hear that this will be getting started before the building gets started. That's great news. And I will say, Congressman, the other congressperson has not contributed to the building, so. At this point, I'd like to bring up Nicole Shapiro, our Director of Community Development. I gave Nicole a charge of this project a year ago, and look where we are within a year. This is, we use the term lightning speed. This is warp speed to get something like this designed, funding in place, construction. So I'd like Nicole to say a few words about, how the project got started and how we got here this morning, Nicole. If you could please come up and say a few words. Nicole Shapiro, Director of Community Development.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to thank Congressman Pallone. It's a heavy feat to come out and ask for a large sum of money, and he has invested in our community. He has invested in our beachfront, and to me, on behalf of the mayor, our council, and administration, I just want to say thank you and start off the day and our discussions that way. The community building, and what we're in this building now, this building has been here since the 1970s, and certainly our Parks and Recreation department has programmed out this space to its limits. So I know some of the events that they have in here are summer half-day camp, They do cooking classes in here. They also invite our civic groups to have meetings in here. They invite our sports committees to come and have meetings in this room. So it definitely gets utilized, and you could see it's our de facto library at this point, because our library building is out of commission down in Lawrence Harbor. What we did was, back last year, when the mayor had entrusted the engineering department with leading the construction and the design efforts for this project, he had said, let's put together a small steering committee for the concept plan. And that's what you see in front of us. So some of that steering committee consisted of our mayor, of course, Councilwoman Sohar, our president of our council, also Councilman Garcia, Ward 1 councilman, our design consultant, EI Associates, Ruben Garrido, who had prepared the plans, our assistant township engineer, Fred Kish, also our planner, our township planner, Vina Savant, and certainly many more. With that, we wanted to make sure that we took into account our view shed. We have a beautiful scenery here. And so we wanted to make sure that we were taking into consideration that we wanted to view the beachfront, but also limit any disturbance to our neighboring properties. So what's good about the location that we're in now is we're sort of in a bowl, you know, so the residential community to the north of us and the residential community to the south of us are at higher elevations. So it's nice that we're tucked inside this bowl so that they don't really, their views aren't obstructed by this building. We wanted to make it 2 floors because we wanted to use this footprint. So it's this building footprint, just more in a square configuration. And then we're taking into account sort of the area of the bocce court that would be relocated after this construction is done. And what we did was, we made it 2 stories so that we can take advantage of those views. We also added an outdoor patio area so that we could have people go outside, sit, maybe even, you know, do some work out there, or to take advantage of the views or have lunch out on the patio outside. And we also took the interior and really made it open space so that, you know, our Parks and Recreation Director, Matt McCuro, incidentally, he was also involved in the steering committee. I missed him before, and our Public Works Director, Casey Litting, was involved. We want to make sure he's able to take full advantage of the space and program it as they see fit to make sure it's utilized. One other thing is, this property is listed for years and years on our NJDEP Green Acres registered open space inventory listing. So anything we do with the building has to be in support of outdoor recreation. And what we've done in here is we've programmed the existing building to do that, and we will program the future building to do the same. When we take the interior layout for the 2 floors, we leave it as open space. Especially on the first floor, it's a very grand open space, 2 floors consisting of 6,000 square feet. Our bottom floor would have obviously bathrooms, but it would also have a full kitchen. Our second floor, again, bathrooms, office space, meeting room space, but then an open floor plan area so that we could utilize it and program it as our recreation department see fits for the program that would be involved in there. We also wanted to make sure that there was a lot of glass on the facade so that we make sure we take advantage of the views, the gorgeous beachfront, and really kick off the area as far as sort of a revitalized lift, you know, if you want to say, from the building that we're currently in now. Right now, we're writing a request for proposal for final design. So this is the conceptual phase. It has been completed. Within the next month, we will be getting responses on our proposal for final design to bring us to the construction phase. And hopefully this time next year, or even in the fall time period, we're hoping to, you know, break ground on construction. So in a nutshell, that's what we have in front of us. We will be, during that design phase, having public meetings because we are unfunded Green Acre parkland. So we will do public meetings, and we will open up our steering committee a little bit more so that we can include some of our neighboring civic groups so that we can get further input. If there's any questions, I'm here to answer anything as far as the design. And again, thank you, Councilman Pallone, for, you know, having us here and for kicking off our construction and design.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that one of the things, of course, I'm not trying to be critical of the existing structure, because, you know, obviously it's been used and you guys are very fond of it. But of course, whenever you come, everything's closed and there's no windows, right? And that's the first thing you notice. And so when I see the design and with all the window space and open air, I think it's just the opposite in the sense of this existing building, which is, you know, almost claustrophobic, right, when you come inside. So I think it's just wonderful the way you've designed it, really, really.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Nicole? Yes, ma'am.
So because we have the site going on and that hasn't started, will they, if this gets started first, is that gonna conflict? Cause you don't know how far back.
I don't
it's
believe
gonna
there'll be
have
any
to go.
confliction in that work versus this work. Hopefully they'll be going on at the same time. That would be great. Right, because, yeah, I don't see any conflict in construction. If there is, Nicole will work that out. Mr. Millett?
There's the driveway up, you know, going from the road down here, you know, right behind the building there. Is that gonna stay, or or are we going all the way up against the building?
It would be slightly decreased in width, but it will remain because that's a great access point. So we want to make it a little bit more used as a walkable route to get to the beachfront, but we do not want to close it off.
When we have saltwater day, vendors come and they often use that to get their vehicles down there to drop off their tables and tents and everything.
It will still be an access way, but I don't see it as being a major thoroughfare. For safety reasons, we'll probably have it blocked off most of the time. But in the case of an event where we need access to the beach in an emergency or during a festival, we can open those gates and that will be a way in and out.
One of the other features that I forgot to mention is the bathrooms on the first floor. Currently now, if you're playing at the basketball courts or the bocce, you would have to enter this building to go to the bathroom. There'll be outdoor access to the restrooms on this floor from the rear of the building, so anybody that's using the park wouldn't even have to enter. They would just use the outdoor recreation. And I think the outdoor restrooms, and that is actually right here. So you could see that there's access to the bathrooms from the rear of the building, and then there's a privacy wall, so once they walk in and somebody opens the door, there's no visibility.
Yes?
Nicole, over at the Hop Pavilion, when people use the shore there, they have an outdoor shower from the top and also from the feet. Could we think of something like that too?
The feature is there. It's not on the rendering because those minutia details don't show, but when the concept plan was prepared, but that is one of the features that we had our architect add.
For water down at the bottom?
Water
for
down
the feet?
below, water on
Good.
top, and that's in the area of where the outdoor restroom access is.
Excellent, thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Anybody else? Great. So again, let me
want to
just,
say one thing.
okay.
That this is, when this is finished, this is going to be the library with the best view in the world.
I agree, I agree. And we made sure that in our concept, that we take advantage
Yeah.
of what God has given us, and that is the view of the city. And Congressman said, this is great for Laurence Harbor, but people from all of Old Bridge and our surrounding communities come to this location for that view. Let's give them their money's worth.
And this library here is a godsend. It's
Oh, yeah.
so great that we have this. I depend on this,
Thank you.
yeah.
Pardon me, on that very line, while construction is going on, is there any possibility of having a temporary housing, at least for people to pick up books that they order from the library, please, in some way, maybe?
We are working
Talk
on
about
that
the
right now.
board.
We're not at the point yet where I can announce where, but we are deep into those weeds right now, getting a temporary 2-3 year location. Yes. So
Thank
we're
you.
working on that, and hopefully within the next week or two, myself and the library board will be announcing that, where it's going to be and how it's going to be.
Thank you.
Good? Thank you, everyone. I appreciate everyone coming out this morning. As I said, this doesn't end. It doesn't end. We have a lot of work to do here in Laurence Harbor. What's good for Laurence Harbor is good for Old Bridge. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Congressman, for coming here, and thanks for bringing us out. We appreciate it.
It's really good. It really is. It's so nice. And it's really needed too. So it's great.
Thank you. Great job, man. Great job, Nicole. Is she good?
Yeah, she's
I think
great.
she works more money, right? Hey, there's